Look, let's just dive right in. We usually look at our careers through two very simple labels, right? You're either a full-time employee or you're a freelancer. We kind of treat them like two different colored doors that just lead to the exact same room of making a living. But over the next 7 minutes or so of this explainer, we are completely dismantling that idea.
I want you to ask yourself, are you choosing a job or are you choosing an operating system? Because as the source material for today's explainer really hammers home, employment and freelancing, they aren't just slightly different ways to earn a paycheck. They behave like two completely different operating systems running in the background of your life.
Usually we just compare the surface level perks, don't we? You've got a steady salary and a predictable routine on one side versus ultimate flexibility and, working in your pajamas on the other. Though, let's be honest, the novelty of the pajama thing wears off pretty quickly. But focusing on that is a total illusion. It's a surface level summary that completely misses the much deeper machinery of how your daily life actually functions.
Okay, so here is what we call the anchor. Let's lock this foundational concept in right now because it's absolutely crucial. Employment trades autonomy for stability, while freelancing trades stability for autonomy. Everything else we talk about today connects right back to this one simple exchange. It's really not just about where the money comes from, it's about how risk, control, and growth are actually distributed.
Picture this. Imagine two people selling the exact same fruit. The employee is set up in a fixed shop with a built-in flow of customers walking by every day. The freelancer, though, they're pushing a mobile cart, constantly having to move to wherever the demand is. The person in the shop relies on an existing system to provide the work, while the person with the cart has to actively hunt for it. The system around the work literally changes everything. And that brings us to risk. You see, risk doesn't just magically disappear because you signed a shiny corporate contract or decided to strike out on your own. As our source beautifully puts it, think of it like a roof during rain. In employment, someone else has mostly built the roof for you. You still feel the weather, sure, but someone else, the company, is carrying the heavy risk of finding customers and keeping the revenue steady. In freelancing, you are 100% responsible for maintaining your own roof. You get to keep way more of the upside, but man, when it rains, any weakness in your system shows up very, very fast. People always assume freelancing means ultimate freedom, but think of it more like cooking at home versus eating in a canteen. At home, you choose the exact ingredients, the spice level, the whole shebang. That's freedom. But you also have to plan the meals, go shopping, and do all the dishes. In a canteen, your menu is definitely limited, but the structure, it's entirely organized for you. So this reveals two distinct kinds of freedom. Actually, freelancing gives you freedom from control. No boss is micromanaging your every move. But employment gives you freedom to act effectively. It provides external structure, right? Priorities, boundaries, coordination with the team. That structure actively reduces decision fatigue. An operating system can give you more freedom or it can give you more support, but it rarely gives you both at the same time. And how do you grow in these systems? Well, it's kind of like comparing learning in a school with a set timetable to learning by running your own small shop. In employment, your professional growth is actively shaped by the organization. You get promotions, mentorships, you learn how large systems function. But in freelancing, you are shaped directly by the market. You grow by proving you can solve specific problems and attract clients completely independently. You learn incredibly quickly, but for sure, that's only because the consequences are real and they are immediate. All right, this brings us to a massive, totally hidden difference: time. In employment, you're essentially a passenger waiting on a platform for trains that arrive pretty regularly. In freelancing, you are the passenger and the station manager. You aren't just managing a simple calendar, you are heavily managing your time plus a pipeline of future demand. You have to make absolutely sure those trains keep coming and be ready when they do. This is exactly why freelancing can feel so much heavier mentally than it first appears. Let's just summarize the invisible machinery of both paths real quick. Look at the reality of the day-to-day. The organization finds the work versus you finding it. The company carries the income risk versus you carrying it. The employer structures the day versus you structuring it. Two people could literally have the exact same skills, but the environment completely alters how they operate, how they grow, and how they get recognized in their daily lives. If you want the absolute shortest, first principles summary of today's explainer, here it is. Employment is a system for reducing uncertainty around work. Freelancing is a system for converting your skill directly to market value. That is how these systems fundamentally operate in real life. One minimizes your exposure to the market, the other plugs you directly into it like a live wire. Let's ground this with a practical example. Imagine two graphic designers with the exact same talent. The employee designer deals with meeting internal expectations and corporate politics, but hey, they enjoy a regular income and calmer mornings. The freelance designer has to maintain constant demand and hustle for clients, but enjoys much stronger independence and the possibility of a way higher financial upside. Neither life is automatically better, but they experience completely different daily realities based on the machine they've chosen to work inside.
Because here is the hidden law of both paths. Every single benefit always carries a companion burden. More stability usually means less control. More structure usually means less freedom. You can't just look at the headline perks like security or flexibility. You really have to ask yourself, what is the cost of this advantage, and am I actually willing to pay it?
And that is exactly where we need to pivot. We're done comparing the labels. Now the issue is no longer simply which one is better, but rather, what does each path require from you? We need to evaluate your personal fit for the system. It all comes down to self-reflection. Which kind of uncertainty can you actually handle without burning out? Which kind of structure helps you do your absolute best work? Do you want to build inside an existing system or build entirely your own from the ground up? Do you prefer the protection of an organization or being sharply molded by the market itself? These are the vital questions you must answer to find where you'll truly thrive, rather than just relying on tired career myths. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. The point isn't to chase some myth of the perfect career path, because it doesn't exist. The point is to understand the operating system you are running. So look at your life, look at your goals, and ask yourself right now, which trade-off are you willing to pay for today?